clouds and humidity in downtown St. Louis. I'm Tom Ackerman. These are the stories making news.
I'm Debbie Monterrey.
If you went on a date in St. Louis in the 2010s, there's a good chance you went to this chocolate bar, and now it's closing. I'm Michael Calhoun with the latest.
The Cardinals drop one to the Cubs. We'll have the story for you coming up at 6:15. At the Tone at 6.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Strong storms battering parts of the Midwest, including Menasha, Wisconsin.
I just wanted some rain, Lord, not this.
It was intense. A lot of noise.
Their town taking a direct hit by a tornado, at least 4 more touching down in Illinois. Southern Japan rattled by a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Japanese broadcaster NHK saying there are injuries at a shopping mall where the roof collapsed. It's been 5 months since the president first ordered attacks on Iran. For now, the latest pause in fighting holding. Javad Ali is a former senior director of counterterrorism at the National Security Council.
We're looking at the potential for perhaps a diplomatic breakthrough. But again, if talks break down, if the Iranians start to try to impose costs on the U.S., then we're going to go back to the fighting we've seen the past couple of weeks.
President Trump welcomes Israel's prime minister and Ukraine's president to Washington today. This afternoon, he will attend the funeral for Senator Lindsey Graham. This is ABC News. The Pima County, Arizona Sheriff's Department says the search for Nancy Guthrie remains active and ongoing, though without any significant developments in the past nearly 6 months since she disappeared. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more on Savannah Guthrie's latest plea.
In a new Instagram post, the Today host says she is begging her mother's captor to do the right thing now.
Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I truly believe it is never too late to do the right thing. Help us bring this situation to an end. For all of us.
Investigators are still trying to trace the items worn by the masked man on Nancy Guthrie's doorstep. The mask, gloves, backpack, and holster. And they're testing a hair and mixed DNA sample found in her home.
A new estimate from the Yale Budget Lab says the latest round of Trump tariffs, which followed another set that were struck down by the Supreme Court, could cost every American household at least $1,100 this year. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 6:02, and right now it's 79 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. You can now contact 911 by texting in St. Louis County. County police ask texters to include their location, the type of emergency, and any important details. They say not to send photos or videos.
2 victims from Sunday's House Springs double shooting have died. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office confirmed the death of 38-year-old Jessica Lashley and her 17-year-old daughter Jersey yesterday. The 2 women were left in critical condition Saturday night after their neighbor entered their home on Detzel Drive and shot them both in the head. The suspect, 73-year-old Robert Winkleman, also shot himself when police arrived. He is still in critical condition.
4 people have been charged in the weekend Pontoon Beach shooting that's been investigated by the Major Case Squad of Greater St. Louis. It happened Sunday around 3:10 a.m. Local police found 34-year-old Ciante Matthews with multiple gunshot wounds. He died shortly after arriving at an area hospital. 22-year-old Devondre L. Williams of East St. Louis is charged with first-degree murder, unlawful use of a machine gun, and being a felon in possession of a weapon. The 3 other suspects are charged with obstruction of justice.
A wave of closures hitting the St. Louis area to start the week.
Salt and Smoke, the local barbecue chain, is closing Hampton and Ellisville on August 1st, trimming down from 8 locations to 6. Crushed Red, the chopped salad concept, is closing Manchester Road in West County and St. Charles, keeping Clayton, Creve Coeur, Kirkwood, and Chesterfield open. Dave Bailey is shutting Bailey's Range in Shaw and the legendary Bailey's Chocolate Bar in Lafayette Square. The focus focus entirely on his 2 Rooster breakfast restaurants, which he says served 800 customers just last Sunday. And Ruler Foods on South Grand closes July 31st. Residents say it's the only walkable grocery in the area, and neighbors are asking what city leaders plan to do about the gap it and the nearby Family Dollar leave behind. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Employees with St. Louis Public Schools will be allowed back in the central office starting next Monday. It comes after Legionella bacteria was found in parts of the building's water and cooling systems in late May. Tonight's Board of Education will return to the central office at 6:30 p.m.
A 381-unit apartment complex in Wentzville sold for $70 million July 13th. The Villages at Lake Silvercoat at 100 Drybrook Road spans 37 acres, contains 33 garden-style apartments. The complex was 95% occupied when it was sold, according to the Business Journal.
St. Louis County voters will see a proposition next Tuesday on the ballot that could add a 3.5% tax on out-of-state goods purchased online. Most of the city municipalities already have a use tax, but this would fold in unincorporated St. Louis County areas that don't. The tax dollars would be split between municipalities for things such as road work, which Kate Thompson, Advocacy Committee Chair for the St. Louis Realtors, is for. There are no organized opposition groups, but voters in the county rejected a similar use tax in 2022.
So far, there have been no widespread power outages in our immediate area. Maria Kina talked with Ackerman, Missouri's Vice President of Operations, Ryan Arnold, about power usage during this heat wave.
You probably saw that the Southwestern Pool, the SPP, they have an emergency power declaration kind of going on. We're in the MISO operating RTO.
MISO stands for a Mid-Continent Independent System Operator Power Grid. That doesn't mean, though, that we cannot see power failures here.
You know, when you think of a large electric grid itself, you have 1.2 million customers in the state of Missouri. I mean, there's many things that can cause a power outage. You know, it can be a bird, a car. It could be that, you know, our piece of equipment failed. So we do have our team ready. We're on, you know, we're ready to go when we need to be. We know it's hot. We take care of our employees to make sure they rotate in and out.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Flash flooding this month demonstrated the value of keeping tabs on the weather. Mike O'Connell on the Missouri Department of Public Safety says those warnings can be life-saving. He tells MissouriNet people should have more than a way to get a severe weather alert.
The U.S. has hit a 35-year high for measles cases in a single year.
The CDC now says it has recorded more than 2,300 cases in 2026, already surpassing last year's total. ABC News correspondent Yuri Benajad.
The record numbers come as vaccination rates have been steadily declining over the past few years, now leaving more than 285,000 kindergartners in the U.S. without protection from the disease.
Measles is the most contagious disease in the world. Up to 90% of unvaccinated people exposed to the virus will get sick. Doctors say the MMR vaccine is 97% effective after 2 doses. So far this year, the CDC says Missouri and Illinois have each reported 4 cases of the measles. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
We'll check traffic and weather next at 6:07.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old-timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your politician's Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, allowing politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people. And the politician's Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside Forward 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, effectively ending our power to stop corrupt and out-of-control politicians.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the politicians' Amendments 4 and 5, paid for by Missourians for fair government.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
New Game Plus with Oxy makes your laundry smell incredible and fights stubborn smells, like the ones your dog Biscuit brought into your freshly made bed last night. But you washed that all away with Game, and now you're drifting asleep to the scent and sound of waves. Ah, no, that's the dog licking your ear.
Biscuit.
It just might be our greatest scent ever, now with odor-fighting power. New Game Plus with Oxy.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It's 6:10. Let's get you caught up on traffic and weather. It looks like some clouds are moving through downtown St. Louis. We'll get the latest on what that means in just a moment. But first, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, I guess having clouds is better than sun in your eyes once we get a little more volume out here, Debbie, so nobody's going to be complaining about that, I don't think. Not much to complain about, really nothing to complain about out there right now. Just out in the construction zones west of us on 70, I still just see a couple slowdowns. They've sort of been ebbing and flowing, but eastbound 70 as of right now has a little slowdown just immediately east of Warrenton, and then a little bit longer slowdown. But again, it's just a slowdown, not a jam, as you approach Wright City proper. But other than that, it sorts itself out after that, and 70 and 64 look great coming out of Wentzville from that point at the split, and southbound 61 still good to go, coming down to 64 and 70. On the Illinois side, things are lighting on the go in the work zones. But speaking of work zones, we have emergency repairs that need to be made on Highway 70. They're going to start that next hour, the 7 a.m. hour, so just be prepared on Highway 70 between the 38 and 39 mile markers. They're going to be working. They're going to have a lane down in each direction, and that's going to be through, I think it's August 10th, so it's almost like a 2-week process there to do that, and that's going to be 70 east of Pocahontas between there and Stubblefield. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
After a disaster, emotional recovery takes time. Show Me Hope Missouri is here for you with free confidential support. Counselors help with stress, coping skills, and connect to resources. If the St. Louis tornado impacted you, visit moshowmehope.org from Missouri Department of Mental Health.
Let's check in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. It's cloudy and 79 downtown at the Arch.
It's 6:12. An Overland couple is dead after they were returned to Guatemala. Nixon Giovanni Perez Paz was stopped by ICE on his way to a roofing job in March. His wife, Glendy Marisol Gonzalez de la Cruz, decided to self-deport with her husband to keep their family together. The couple was found in a sugarcane field, bound and shot to death. Their 14-month-old daughter was found next to her mother crying, according to reporting by public radio.
Guatemalan prosecutors say they're investigating the killings. Perez Paz's brother says they came to the U.S. to escape violence. He is now taking care of his 3 young nieces and says if immigration hadn't picked up his brother and sister-in-law, they'd still be alive.
Why would the head of Downtown Forward, the nonprofit working to revitalize downtown St. Louis, be vandalizing lampposts on Washington Avenue? That's a question a local street vendor has. Troy McAdoo tells the Post-Dispatch he watched and recorded Matt O'Leary, Downtown Forward's executive director, putting glue inside an electrical outlet on a lamppost.
When McAdoo asked what O'Leary was doing, he reportedly said, "I was just checking the power. I was just checking the voltage." That video has since been posted to social media, and police are investigating.
A 40-year-old downtown high-rise mural is about to get some new life.
The mural covers 3 sides of the Edison Brothers building at 14th and Olive, and it's being restored starting next month. The mural depicts scenes from the 1904 World's Fair, as well as the famous King Louis statue that's outside of the Art Museum, and it has wrapped the building since 1984. A $1 million joint gift from 2 Edison family foundations is funding the work as part of an $81 million conversion of the building back into a Sheraton hotel, which it was years ago. go. Midas Hospitality CEO JT Norville told reporters that he wants the project to be part of something bigger for the city. Momentum breeds momentum, he says, and momentum is contagious. The original painter, Richard Haas, turns 90 next month, and he is returning to consult. 3 to 12 painters are expected on site at any one time, starting on August 10th. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Missouri's hot and humid weather has many people talking about a phenomenon known as corn sweat. As the state's corn crop releases moisture into the air, some wonder how much it contributes to the uncomfortable conditions. State climatologist Justin Glisson says the effect is real, but only plays a small role. Plant scientists say the added moisture can benefit crops during dry periods. Tell you what, I was at the Cardinals game last night. It was hot, hot, hot. Even though it didn't start until 8:30, well after the scheduled start time of 6:45 because of rain and lightning in the area. That didn't subdue or make the heat any better. It was rough out there. And the Cardinals were sweating through that first inning with Matthew Liberatore on the mound taking on the Cubs. Cubs in contention in the National League Central. The Cardinals are not. They are actually back to 500 after struggling on the mound and, quite honestly, at the plate. Offense has been an issue for them for a while since the All-Star break. KMOX's Matt Pauley. Cardinals take on the Cubs tonight, 6:45 start. We'll have the pregame at 5:50. This is the first of a 4-game series with the Cubs. Then the Cardinals go on the road to take on the Blue Jays for 3, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, before they visit Yankee Stadium on Monday, August 3rd. That is also the day of the Major League Baseball trade deadline. And coming up at 6:45, we'll hear some thoughts from President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom on what that trade deadline could look like for the Cardinals moving forward. A big week for him in preparation. The Cardinals have, as I mentioned, fallen out of the National League Central race. In the wild card right now, technically they're still in there, a game and a half out of a spot. That's it. But there are currently 5 teams going after one spot, actually 6, even though the Marlins are a game under 500. They just won a ball game to get themselves back into it after a losing streak since the All-Star break. They hadn't won a game. Marlins finally got one last night, but they're only 2 out. So you're looking at the Cubs and Phillies owning the first 2 wild card spots, and then the following teams just 2 games apart for the last wild card spot. Pittsburgh, Arizona, Washington, St. Louis, San Diego, and Miami all for 1 spot. So when you hear that the Cardinals are a game and a half out, that is accurate, but they're also in the mix among many teams. Some of those will likely be a little more aggressive at the trade deadline than the Cardinals will. So just preparing you for that for the long haul on this season. This is actually a project that the Cardinals have put together for 2027 and 28. We'll hear from Ollie Marmol about all of this, the Cardinals manager, coming up on the Gas House Gang on KMOX at noon. St. Louis University building for its future. Jimmy McKinney III has committed to SLU's men's basketball program. Josh Schertz snags another one, the son of Vashon coach Jimmy McKinney. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Tricia Burns never answers the call. Tricia Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Tricia Burns, not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Tricia Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Tricia Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Tricia Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Soldiers Memorial Military Museum looks at American military history through the lens of St. Louis. From the Revolutionary War to the present day, the galleries showcase stories of local service members and delve into the city's wartime history. Outside, the Court of Honors includes monuments to those who lost their lives in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Admission is free. Find information about special exhibits at mohistory.org/memorial. That's mohistory.org/memorial.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
6:20 and time for traffic and weather. I'm Debbie Monterrey along with Tom Ackerman and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things are still rolling along pretty nicely so far this morning, Debbie. This traffic reports the Service of Financial and Tax Strategies. A little bit of volume building as you get up the hill from Mauer Industrial to 270 on eastbound Highway 30 right now. Just slow headed up through there. Still seeing a couple of brief little slowdowns eastbound 70 just east of Warrenton. And as you get into Wright City, there's a little bit more of a backup through there and as you approach the Wright City city limits area, just east of the Wright City rest area. But otherwise, east of there, eastbound 70 looks good. Southbound 61 onto eastbound 70 or 64 look great. Coming out of Wentzville for you. Downtown, we're still in good shape. Westbound headed for the Poplar Mutual Veterans Bridges. Work zones going on 255. North of 5570, like Horseshoe Lake Road up to 270. A right lane closed both ways there, not bothering anybody. And at 7 a.m., they're going to close a lane both directions on Interstate 70. This one may be a little more impactful between Pocahontas and Stubblefield, 3839 mile markers. That'll start this morning at 7, scheduled to run through August 10th. Emergency repairs in the area. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
If your retirement plan is mostly what if and a little fingers crossed, you deserve better answers than that. Check out Wealth and Wisdom Saturdays at 7 a.m. here on KMOX. I'm Gary Goldberg. Call 800-966-1690.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says we're in a heat advisory until 7 p.m. with an extreme heat warning for areas south and east of Metro St. Louis. Today, sunshine, hot and humid, some clouds, high of 92, real feels up to 105. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny, pleasant, less humid, and a high of 88. Currently, it's coming up on 80 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
It is 6:22. The Missouri legislature passed Senate Bill 4, clearing the way for Ackerman to ask the Missouri Public Service Commission to approve building a natural gas plant in St. Charles County and having customers pay for it before it's built.
It's called the construction work in progress. The Beyond Coal for Missouri strategist for the Sierra Club, Jen DeRose, says there is a large load tariff in place on big companies like Ackerman,
which does put these big companies on the hook for paying for at least some of the projects up front. But I am still very concerned about rate increases down the line.
Ackerman, Missouri's Ryan Arnold is vice president of power operations. KMOX wanted to know why this natural gas is being piped in from other states to this new West Alton plant on the existing ground of the Ackerman Sioux Operating Energy Center, which is a coal power plant. Why we don't do that here in the state? Why we have to go out of state for it?
Yeah, I think it might just be more of availability of where, the natural gas, is and how much of it there is. And, you can often think about different areas of the country that have more natural gas pockets than maybe we do. But it's a good question, and we can definitely follow up.
People are going to ask, what does this mean for my electric bill? People are already way concerned with the price of electricity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we obviously understand that impact. And, we know that customers definitely strive to make sure that they're doing the right thing for their families and that they can afford these types of, services and the service that we provide. And of course, we want to make sure that when we look at a project like this, that it's needed, that it's the right investment for Missouri, the right investment for Ackerman, Missouri customers. And our job is to make sure that when we do that we're doing it in a prudent way. We're doing it in a way that is cost effective for customers. For that example that I was using, where we're using our existing land, a lot of our existing infrastructure that we don't have to build new.
DeRose is very concerned with what this new Ackerman natural gas plant means for customers' bills.
In their rate increase, Ackerman did propose a low-income discount, which is wonderful, but I'm very concerned that it doesn't go far enough or deep enough. There are not enough people who would be included, and I think it's a really good start, but I would really love to see the Public Service Commission, the entity responsible for approving and disapproving of, new power generation and new rate increases, that they take this affordability crisis seriously and make moves to make the things people need to cool and heat their homes affordable. Because otherwise, we're going to see some really sad consequences.
DeRose says gas fracking from other states to Ackerman's new West Alton facility comes with a price and potential disruptions.
There has to be shifts. There are costs associated with that. That is also subject to market disruptions and global market disruptions, like, for example, war. So, we have all these different things to worry about when we're shipping in our fuel sources from across the country, when we could be harvesting free energy from the sun.
Ackerman's Ryan Arnold. Ackerman is involved with solar. Why not use solar? Why natural gas? Explain that.
Sure. Yeah. When you think of our overall generation fleet, we have solar. We've just put in several hundred megawatts of solar even here in 2026. We'll continue to put solar in 2028 and onward. But it's really that complement of natural resources. So when you think of solar and wind, those are intermittent resources, intermittent generation resources. Obviously, when the sun comes up and goes down, we lose solar. If there's no wind, it's not able to generate. But there's moments when it does, and it's a good complement. When you think of this gas plant, it provides 24/7 round the clock for those extreme days. Today's a perfect example. We're at 100 degrees, heat index over 100. Customers rely on energy to be there. This is a plant that will be dependable. We'll be there 24/7. It allows us to interwork with those renewables, but at the same time have that dependable baseload generation that will be there when we ask for it.
Missouri's Public Service Commission is asking for public comment on this latest Ackerman project. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
6:26 time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. There's a saying, it takes a group of good men to build a barn and only one to tear it down. Well, a few Jeff City politicians are at it again, tearing things down with Amendment 5 and Amendment 4. No on 5 and 4. 5 takes our money with higher sales taxes, higher taxes on gas, guns, and groceries, a sales tax hike on rent and diesel, seed and feed. 4 takes away our constitutional right to vote and go around the establishment politicians and to stop higher taxes. Takes away our safety valve, a vote of the people to stop or reverse a dumb idea like the everything tax. I'm a no. A heck no. No. No on Amendment 5. No on Amendment 4. No on both 4 and 5. Paid for by no on the everything tax.
New Game Plus with Oxy makes your laundry smell incredible and fights stubborn smells, like the ones your dog Biscuit brought into your freshly made bed last night. But you wash that all away with Game. And now you're drifting asleep to the scent and sound of waves. Ah, no, that's the dog licking your ear.
Biscuit.
It just might be our greatest scent ever. Now with odor fighting power. New Game Plus with Oxy.
What do parents think of back to school at Staples, where supplies start at just 25 cents?
Staples has the latest laptops with up to 40% savings.
I may hug the cashier.
So embarrassing.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's a wonderful time at Staples with up to 40% off select tech. Staples.
That was easy.
Visit Staples today or shop online and in the app. Ends 9/12. Exclusions apply.
When pain starts to slow you down, BJC Healthcare and WashU Medicine orthopedic specialists are here to help. Nationally recognized leaders in orthopedics deliver care that's informed by research and personalized for you. From everyday aches to complex injuries and recovery, we're here to help you get back to doing what you love. Find an orthopedic specialist today. Visit bjc.org/orthopedics or call 314-362-9355.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty, that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Chris Ronchi and Amy Marks-Kors connect you with the people, places, and conversations that bring our community together.
And now you get to hear about poo-poo in a box from a firefighter.
No, come on.
The hammerhead worm. And you get to hear about car fires.
And sinkholes.
I love our newsroom. I think they're doing a great job.
From neighborhood happenings to local heroes, from everyday challenges to unforgettable stories. Chris and Amy, weekdays from 9 to noon on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:30, and right now we've got 79 degrees with some clouds in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
I'm still doing all right. There's a little busier stretches on the highways, but overall, the only place I'm really seeing more of a slowdown for the most part is out to the west of us on eastbound 70. East of Warrenton into Wright City, there's a couple of heavy slowdowns. Again, not a jam, but it is slow at a couple of spots there on eastbound 70. So a good chunk of that run east of Warrenton into Wright City is off the pace in that construction zone. Northbound 270, as you ramp on from 55, those ramp lanes look a little busy. Eastbound 30, east of Mauer to 270, a little bit of volume there. On the Illinois side, things are still light and on the go for you. I'm not seeing any delays in the work zones or approaching the downtown bridges so far. Next update at 6:40 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is going to be hot, and our heat advisory is in effect until 7 tonight. So just be aware of that. Sun mixing with clouds, hot and humid, with a high of 92, but it's going to feel as hot as 105. But that's it. I promise this time, at least for a few days. Tomorrow's high, just 88, 89 on Thursday. Currently, it is 79 degrees.
It's 6:31. A Jefferson County man charged in the shooting of two men left a Facebook manifesto described by the sheriff as a doozy. Christopher Serrano's 3,700-word post, uploaded 2 days before the attack on a father and son, claimed the two were in a motorcycle gang, were selling drugs, and claims their dogs injured his. The Post also rambled on about data centers, the CIA, Mossad, and urged elected officials to resign.
24-year-old Sammy Gordon was found dead Friday night outside a home on Lakeshore Drive in Cedar Hill. His 51-year-old father was shot but survived. According to the Post-Dispatch, Serrano was captured after a foot chase near his mother's home and has no arrest history.
6 locations across 4 businesses are closing in St. Louis in the next week.
Also in the news this morning, a local realtor says Proposition U could help area mom and pop shops. That proposition will be on the August 4th ballot and would add a 3.5% tax on out-of-state items purchased online. Speaking with Chris and Amy on KMOX, Kate Thompson, Advocacy Committee Chair for the St. Louis Realtors, says that tax will even the playing field between online retailers and small mom and pop shops.
If you were today to buy something at that boutique store, you're charged a tax. If you were to find that same product online, you are not charged necessarily the St. Louis County tax there. So automatically our mom and pops are at a bit of a disadvantage.
No organized groups have announced opposition to Prop U, but voters in the county rejected a similar use tax in 2022.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your Money Minute next.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
6:35 and time for your money report. It's sponsored for you by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Amazon is asking the FCC for permission to launch 5,000 satellites that would provide mobile services to cell phones from space. The move would put Amazon in more direct competition with SpaceX's Starlink as the race to build satellite-based mobile networks heats up. The Federal Reserve meets this week with an outcome that's unusually uncertain. Many on Wall Street expect the central bank to hold rates steady, but a renewed inflation scare has put a surprise increase in play. The Fed will be out with its rate decision tomorrow. Checking on the markets, S&P futures are little changed. Dow futures rising 130 points. And Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern submitted a revised merger application to regulators that they say offers greater protections to customers. The revision looks to answer outstanding questions from the Surface Transportation Board, which paused its review of the tie-up in May. The two companies announced their $72 billion merger a year ago. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
McKelvey Homes, right here in St. Louis, McKelveyHomes.com. Move up to McKelvey. It's time. It's time to move up to McKelvey. Maybe it's time for a fresh start. Maybe it's time to check out all of the different areas in St. Louis. You may have heard about one. Did you know that there are many, many areas in St. Louis that McKelvey Homes covers? Where do you want to live? Cottleville, Creve Coeur, Rock Hill, St. Charles, St. Louis, Wildwood, all over. Real homeowners, real stories. Here's one. This is from the Shipleys. They said, from our first meeting, the team at McKelvey Homes listened to what we envisioned. Working with McKelvey Homes, we found ourselves truly heard, not just treated like clients, but like partners, creating the home we dreamed of. The Shipleys write in that we never felt like we were being sold a home. That distinction made all the difference. Every recommendation from plan to finish came from experience and care. It wasn't just building, it was bringing our vision to life. Well, Shipley family, that's exactly what McKelvey Homes sets out to do. It's great to hear from their customers. McKelvey Homes has been doing this for well over a century now, since 1898. They're Missouri's oldest home builder, building a tradition of excellence. Move up to McKelvey, McKelveyHomes.com.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. But your business runs all year, so do the gaps and the risk. So go to Supersure.com. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just go buy a policy online. SuperSure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At supersure.com, you can access tools like fine print facts. It'll translate your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to supersure.com. One super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Supersure.com. That's supersure.com. Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
Congress doesn't need more politicians. For nearly 30 years, Joan Von Dross dedicated her life to helping students learn, grow, and succeed. Now she's running for Congress to fight for lower healthcare costs, stronger public schools, and a more affordable future for Missouri families. Teachers solve problems. Politicians play politics.
I'm Joan Von Dross, Democrat from Missouri CD2, and I approve this message. Vote for me on August 4th.
Paid for by Von Dross for Congress.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Today,
the Cards, the Cubs.
Ameren Total Access 550. First pitch 6:45.
Cardinals Radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:40 and time for traffic and weather. It's a little breezy out there this morning, so both hands on the wheel. Roger Brand's got the latest for you from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Now, looking good so far out there this morning, Debbie. This traffic report is a service of Huff Heating and Air Conditioning. If you're on eastbound Highway 30, just kind of slow up the hill from Mauer to 270. A little heavy traffic coming into Gravois Bluffs at the light, but that's nothing out of the ordinary, really. North 270, as you ramp on from 55 past Gravois, headed up through 44 Manchester. Everything's looking great there. Southbound 61 starting to see a little bit of a slowdown as you ramp on to eastbound 70. And eastbound 70 itself, I'll just call it east of Warrenton into Wright City. There are slow stretches, I'd say. 3/4 of the time you're at below the speed limit through that construction zone at various points on eastbound Highway 70. Once you get past that point, 64 and 70 out of Wentzville look great. And downtown, we still don't have any issues in the construction zones on the Illinois side or headed for the bridges. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
For dependable, no-pressure home comfort solutions, turn to Huff Heating and Air Conditioning. Locally owned and family-operated for over 40 years. Our team will work with you on a plan that fits your home's needs with financing available. And as always, your family's comfort is our family's business. Learn more at huffheating.com.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. I was just telling Debbie about my adventures through the Northeast, New York City, Cooperstown. Man, I got up in Cooperstown on Saturday to go to the Hall of Fame, and it was like 59 degrees.
You needed a jacket.
I came back here. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is. Yesterday might have been the hottest day of the year. At least it felt like it.
It was a steam bath.
When you combine it with the high humidity, the really gross humidity, I mean, it felt like it was 110 yesterday afternoon. Still going to be pretty gruesome today. The effective front has only gone through Chicago a couple of hours ago, and it's got a ways to go to get here. So most of the day is still going to be hot and humid. There's less in the way of sunshine today. There'll be enough clouds around. That'll keep temperatures to about 92. Then the front comes through this evening, and you're going to feel the difference when you wake up tomorrow morning. Instead of getting up to temperatures of 80 or higher, it's going to be much closer to 70. More sunshine tomorrow. A nice day with lower humidity. Our high 88 really is going to feel much nicer. Thursday, not bad at all. Sunshine and some clouds. Our high 89. Gets a little cooler Friday. Why? More clouds around and a threat for a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 83. In fact, we may have another one of those days Saturday where it doesn't get to 80 with cloud and a couple of showers and maybe a thunderstorm. A wet start to the weekend, but it will also be cooler. Right now, a muggy 81 at St. Peter's and in Florissant. There is a breeze, 85 and partly cloudy downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. It's 6:43 on Total Information AM.
Despite the messaging out of Iran, President Trump saying there are very friendly negotiations with the regime, oil prices were down as there was a pause in fighting between the U.S. and Tehran. Mixed reaction from analysts. Matt Smith is the lead oil analyst for Kepler.
Now you have this added dimension of the Red Sea and the exit there, Bab el-Mandeb, and the Houthis potentially firing at Saudi tankers. And so the situation fundamentally is getting worse than better.
President Trump this past weekend traveled to Michigan, where a new bridge linking Canada and the U.S. is opening, to talk about the economy. But the Trump administration had threatened to block the opening for months as part of a longstanding trade dispute, and last week added new taxes to many Canadian products. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
Senator Mitch McConnell allegedly continuing to undergo physical therapy and not cleared to return to the Senate, according to Congress's Office of the Attending Physician.
McConnell hasn't been seen on Capitol Hill for 6 weeks. His office this month said he suffered a fall in his home on June 14th that briefly left him unconscious, and that he was also treated in the hospital for a mild case of pneumonia. In a new statement on Monday, Congress's Office of the Attending Physician said McConnell's now doing multiple sessions of physical therapy and rehabilitation every day, but that he's not yet cleared to return to the Senate. McConnell has said he plans to finish his term, which ends in January. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
Cards and Cubs at Busch Stadium, 6:45 start tonight, 5:50 for the pregame. Took him until 8:30 to get that one going last night because of rain in the St. Louis area. And Matt Pauley, it didn't help matters. Matthew Liberatore again had issues early. We are approaching the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It is next Monday, August 3rd, and Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, will get his first deadline as Cardinals executive. Who will he be going after, and what are the chances they can get a player that helps them moving forward? Hein Bloom on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday morning. Jimmy McKinney III, he was being recruited by multiple regional teams around the Midwest, some very high-end basketball teams, but he's going to SLU. He posted last night on Twitter, "Home isn't just where I'm from, it's who I'm playing for. Proud to stay home and represent the city that made me. Go Billikens." McKinney plays for Vashon. He's a 6'2" incoming senior guard, as his dad, Jimmy McKinney, is the head coach and former Missouri Tigers. Speaking of the Missouri Tigers, their schedule in the SEC featuring multiple Saturday home games. That's going to be very enticing for the crowd in Columbia. As we know, the non-conference is filled with some exciting matchups. We'll go through it all for you coming up at 7:15. I'm Tom Ackerman, Who's Hot, Who's Not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories. St. Louis Composting's been going for a while now with 9 locations in the St. Louis area. That's a lot. They certainly can help you out in every corner of the St. Louis area. STLcompost.com to find the location nearest you. What do you do at these locations? Well, you load up your truck or trailer with mulch or soil or compost. You don't have a truck or trailer? Don't worry, they'll deliver to you. That's what we did. I don't have a trailer to load up mulch, so I had them deliver it right to our house. And you can go to stlcompost.com, click on the cubic yard calculator. You can figure out how much exactly that you need. You can order online right there at stlcompost.com. Get ready for the fall season. Get some of that soil, compost, and mulch ready to go, or do it this summer. They have a variety of different products to choose from. You'll be really happy with their service. St. Louis Composting. I believe in them. We've now back-to-back years have had them bring mulch to the house. Couldn't be happier. STLcompost.com.
And Doug. Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The 3-2 pitch with the runner going a swing.
Ready to elevate your game? Join the MBA Sportscasters Forum on Tuesday, September 15th in St. Louis. Learn from Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and Hall of Famer John Rooney as they break down play-by-play, reporting, interviewing, and covering the game. Then cap off the day with the Cardinals versus Giants at Busch Stadium. Step into the booth, sharpen your skills. Go to KMOX.com/events for details and registration. Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX. Total Information AM, Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
6:51, here's Roger Brand. He's in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, as you're heading out the door, it's a pretty good run for you this Tuesday morning. This traffic reports the service of Steve Butts and the entire Crawford Butts family. If you're on northbound 270, starting to see a little slowdown as you ramp on from 55, approaching Doherty Ferry up toward Manchester and approaching Clayton Road. There's some slower traffic running through there. Eastbound 30, Mauer Industrial at 270. Got some slow stuff. Southbound 61 starting to bog down a bit. Wentzville Parkway down to 64. Eastbound 70 just has a brief backup now. 47, not even quite midway into the Wright City rest area. After that, it's not as bad. So the front end of it's pretty solid there now instead of being a slowdown, but it looks like it breaks up a little more quickly. So we'll keep tabs on it and see what's going on there. They do have some roadwork delays on the Illinois side now. Westbound 5570, 111 headed into 203, pretty congested most of the way through there. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, Steve Butts and everyone at Crawford Butts Insurance wish everyone a safe and joyful summer. Proudly serving the community for generations. Happy 250th, America. Next update at 6:58 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says an extreme heat warning is in effect, a heat advisory until 7 p.m. South and east of Metro St. Louis certainly are going to be impacted, but really all of us are going to feel the heat and humidity today. A high of 92, real feels up to 105. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 71. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, pleasant, less humid. A high of 88. Might want to make a tea time as we start to get a little bit better towards the weekend. Currently, we're at 80 degrees with clouds in downtown St. Louis.
It is 6:52. Storms are hammering the Chicago area, triggering flash flooding and leaving a trail of damage. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
The severe weather bringing air travel to a halt. Chicago's O'Hare seeing delays of 6 hours. More than 1,600 flights canceled nationwide. The storm system now pushing east after a separate round of storms already pounded parts of New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
You might not find it on Indeed or ZipRecruiter, but a high-profile job opening is getting increased attention starting today.
A NerdWallet survey finds parents expect to spend an average of $611 on back-to-school supplies this year. Albert James spoke with parents planning to hit the aisles soon.
The cost for parents is down from last year, except a quarter of parents plan to cut back due to other life expenses going up. Parents also expect to pay an average of over $500 on fundraising, teacher wish lists, and other communal supplies. Olivia from Kentucky has 2 boys.
Our PTA at our schools typically pays for those. Sometimes they'll ask for donations if people need them, but it's not something that everyone has to pay for.
Over a third of parents surveyed say their kids will miss out on at least one activity because of cost. Elliot from San Francisco is thankful he can afford the extracurriculars for his daughter.
We do feel that enrichment is important, so we, put our kid in camps for extra stuff after school. I think most parents are doing some form of that. We're okay with it. We can afford it.
Albert James, KCBS.
NerdWallet says setting and discussing financial boundaries is good in the long haul and teaches kids valuable lessons about spending responsibly and only relying on the essentials.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
The classy, professional, great basketball player, good man, Bill Bradley. The former U.S. Senator born in Crystal City, Missouri, Hall of Fame forward, NBA champion. Bill Bradley is 83 today, not to mention a Lifetime Achievement Award winner at the Musial Awards. Happy birthday, Bill Bradley.
The birthday shout-out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back. Happy birthday to Ken Blessing from your family. Karen Reeves and Mike Carnes of O'Fallon, Illinois. Happy 55th to the twins, Rachel Zorko McMahon and Ryan Zorko from Aunt Carol and the family. Also, Gloria Schmerbach, Michael Bear, Trevor Simpson, Blaine Reed, and Colleen West are celebrating today. And happy birthday wishes to Kay Quinn.
This is the best birthday ever.
I was just reaching out to somebody over at the Missouri Athletic Club about a couple of things. I talk to them almost daily about their many events. They are partnering with the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, doing events there now. I think that's going to be a long-term thing. I really do. I think the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame has found a home at the Missouri Athletic Club. That's pretty special. That's got to be one of the great venues, the Missouri Room inside the Missouri Athletic Club downtown, that there is when it comes to great events. The Missouri Athletic Club does them year after year after year. Also, we just set up a meeting for the Herman Trophy. Herman Trophy coming up in January, and the Missouri Athletic Club hosts that. That is the Heisman Trophy of college soccer for both the men and the women. And you know the awards, the USBWA, they do their college basketball awards nationally here. All these great national awards, and we're very proud. The long-running Jack Buck Sports Awards are done at the Missouri Athletic Club. We carry it live every single year. We're going to have some good candidates for Sports Personality of the Year for that one. The Missouri Athletic Club, mac-stl.org.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is Who do you hire? At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call 314-569-1050 or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are discussing bone cancer. July is Bone Cancer Awareness Month, and visiting with us is Dr. Angela Herbie, medical oncologist at Siteman Cancer Center. Dr. Herbie, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Treatment typically involves a combination of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. So it's really important to have a team of specialized doctors, so surgeons, medical oncologists like myself, and radiation oncologists who are really familiar with these tumors. We know the outcomes are best when they're treated by specialists who see these tumors all the time. And we're very active in trying to move the needle forward. We have over 20 clinical trials for sarcoma patients, looking for treatments that work better, have fewer side effects, and also trying to develop ways to improve cancer detection.
Dr. Angela Herbie, thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.washu.edu.
In the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, eastbound 70 now just has a little slowdown at Warrenton. It looks like we have a problem southbound 61 midway down from P to Wentzville Parkway, a little back up there, and there's a little slowdown north 270 between Doherty Ferry and Manchester at this time. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's a hot one out there again. It is currently 80 degrees with clouds in downtown St. Louis. I'm Tom Ackerman, and these are the stories making news. We're going to be looking at a heat advisory today until 7 p.m.
I'm Debbie Monterrey.
West Elton will be the site for a brand new Ackerman, Missouri natural gas plant. So what does it mean for the existing Sioux Energy Center? I'm Maria Kina. I'll explain.
We'll take a look at the Cardinals in 15 minutes.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The sun coming up on a mess for a lot of people after storms blasted part of the Midwest.
I headed down to the basement with my kitty. And when I come up, it's like a war zone
here. That
here.
person in Wisconsin after a reported tornado near Appleton. Several more touching down in Illinois. The Northeast could deal with flooding later today. President Trump this morning meets with the president of Ukraine and then the prime minister of Israel 5 months to the day after the start of the war with Iran. Last year, Brian Kohlberger stood before a judge admitting that he stabbed 4 University of Idaho students to death.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? Yes.
But now he claims that confession was coerced. He's trying to withdraw the plea and go to trial. French officials ordering the evacuations of another 4,000 people from tourist sites along the Atlantic coast with wildfires closing in. Damage and injuries reported in Japan after a strong 7.1 magnitude quake. This is ABC News. Johnson & Johnson now says it's agreed to pay an estimated $5.5 billion to settle tens of thousands of lawsuits connected to its talc products. The claims say talc led to cases of ovarian cancer. The company stopped using it 6 years ago. Kentucky Fried Chicken lovers have a rare opportunity today to buy a little piece of history in Louisville. ABC's Peter Haralambou says dozens of items belonging to Colonel Sanders are up for auction.
Colonel Sanders has been the face of the fast food giant for decades.
Hey, look at there. Didn't I tell you it was finger licking good?
And now the public has a chance to buy a piece of his fried chicken empire. Among the items for sale include some of the pressure cookers Sanders used to refine his frying technique, his iconic bow tie and suspenders, the butcher block and stove from his kitchen, and a planner believed to contain a list of his secret 11 herbs and spices. The auction is set to begin Tuesday evening, and online bidding has already begun. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
Another 4,000 people evacuated from their homes in those Central European wildfires. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 7:02, and right now it's 80 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. The 2 victims from Sunday's House Springs double shooting have died. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office confirmed the death of 38-year-old Jessica Lashley and her 17-year-old daughter, Jersey, yesterday. The two women were left in critical condition Saturday night after their male neighbor entered their home on Dotzel Drive and shot them both in the head. The suspect, 73-year-old Robert Winkleman, also shot himself and is still in critical condition.
4 people have been charged in the weekend pontoon beach shooting that's been investigated by the major case squad. It happened Sunday around 3:10 in the morning when local police found 34-year-old Ciante Matthews with multiple gunshot wounds. He died shortly after arriving at an area hospital. 22-year-old Devondria Williams of East St. Louis is charged with first-degree murder, unlawful use of a machine gun, and being a felon in possession of a weapon. 3 other suspects are charged with obstruction of justice.
6 locations across 4 businesses are closing in St. Louis in the next week.
Employees with St. Louis Public Schools will be allowed back in the central office starting Monday. That after a Legionella bacteria was found in parts of the building's water and cooling systems in late May. Tonight's Board of Education meeting will return to the central office. That starts at 6:30.
You may have heard a lot about amendments with Election Day a week from today. Are you aware of Proposition U? Kate Thompson is Advocacy Committee Chair for the St. Louis Realtors. She tells Chris and Amy the proposition would allow a 3.5% tax on online goods. The tax is already in effect in dozens of St. Louis municipalities and wouldn't add on to use taxes in those areas.
As this heat drags on, you may have wondered about the toll on the power grid. Maria Kina talked about it with Ackerman, Missouri's Vice President of Operations, Ryan Arnold.
Arnold says this is a high-demand day.
It's hard for a lot of the infrastructure to, when you're thinking of air conditioning, everything's working harder, so it demands more electricity usage, of course, as it kind of gets there to keep up with it.
The Southwest Power Pool, SPP, has issued resource and energy advisories due to extreme weather straining the power grid. This covers a 17-state region.
We're in the MISO operating RTO. Today, we're able to generate the power that we need for our customers in the state of Missouri.
That does not mean we cannot have power outages. We did Sunday in parts of Dogtown and the Hill. If possible, try to reserve doing things like running the dishwasher, dryer, and washer. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
In the news this morning, state officials urging residents not to take weather warnings lightly. Mike McConnell of the Department of Public Safety says even the swift water rescue crews were surprised at the intensity of the flood earlier this month in southeast Missouri. He reminds Missourians to have more than one emergency notification system.
The CDC now says it has recorded more than 2,300 measles cases in 2026, already surpassing last year's total.
It's also the highest total since 1991, breaking a 35-year-old record. ABC News correspondent Yuri Benejad says the measles is the most contagious disease in the world.
Up to 90% of unvaccinated people exposed to the virus will get sick, and doctors now urging parents to consider the MMR vaccine, which after 2 doses is 97% effective.
The record numbers come as vaccination rates have been steadily declining over the past few years, now leaving more than 285,000 kindergartners in the U.S. without protection from the disease. So far this year, the CDC says Missouri and Illinois have each reported 4 cases of the measles. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
For only the second time in history, the American Red Cross has declared a national blood crisis.
Restoring a famous building on the outside. We'll have more on that coming up after we check traffic and weather in 2 minutes. It's 7:08.
In a county full of slick politicians, one man never got the memo. Jake Zimmerman. He may not be cool, but as county assessor, Zimmerman delivered. Here's Jake.
I stopped casinos taking money from our schools and cracked down on wealthy developers dodging taxes.
The St. Louis American called his office a model of respectful competence, and the Post-Dispatch just endorsed Zimmerman in his campaign for county executive for his pledge to take the drama out of county government. As county executive, he'll make life more affordable and stand up to MAGA's attacks on our rights.
I'm not flashy, but I get results, and I've got your back.
Then there's Brian Williams. Williams voted with MAGA Republicans to open the door to extreme abortion bans, and now MAGA is bankrolling Williams with $150,000 in donations. Brian Williams and MAGA can't be trusted. Jake Zimmerman is on our side. Paid for by Citizens for Jake Zimmerman. Jeannie Kirkton, Treasurer.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Let's at 7:10 check in with Roger Brand. He has the latest on your ride-in from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, into a bit of a lull right now, Debbie. Things don't look all that bad. Just a few spots where it's a little slow. Southbound 61, I guess it was probably a stall that was south of Highway P that had a little jam up there because things are pretty much back to normal now. There's just a couple of very brief slowdowns. Eastbound 70 east of Warrenton and right at the Wright City Rest area. That doesn't look all that bad. Northbound 270, north of Doherty Fair up the hill to Manchester. That's slow. If you're on the ramp from 55 getting onto North 270, the ramp's a little congested, but once you get on 270 itself, you're good to go, like I said, until you get up to around Doherty Ferry. And on the Illinois side, starting to see a little bit of a slowdown. Westbound 64 Baugh Avenue to the 70 split where that 70 West ramp is closed, and both directions of 5570 between 111 and 203. There were a couple of slow spots. Not solid all the way through there, though. And I am seeing a little bit of a delay. Eastbound 70 is east of Pocahontas. Again, they have a lane closed both directions on that stretch of 70 from some emergency repair work that's scheduled to run through August 10th. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg with the very latest on our weather. Right now, it's 80 degrees in downtown St. Louis. Humidity 83% at the Arch.
It is 7:11. Why would the head of Downtown Forward, the nonprofit working to revitalize downtown St. Louis, be vandalizing lampposts on Washington Avenue? A question a local street vendor has. Troy McAdoo tells the Post-Dispatch he watched and then recorded Matt O'Leary, Downtown Forward's executive director, putting glue inside an electrical outlet on a fence post. When McAdoo asked what O'Leary was doing, he reportedly said, "I was just checking the power. I was just checking the voltage." That video has since been posted to social media. The police say they are investigating.
Work begins next month on restoring one of downtown St. Louis's most distinctive pieces of art.
The search for the University of Illinois' next president has hit a new milestone now that school leaders have formally started accepting applications for that position. Current U of I President Tim Killeen is set to step down in August of next year after more than a decade leading the school with campuses in Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, and Springfield. Board of Trustees President Jesse Ruiz says school leaders are working with a search firm to identify top candidates.
Somebody with the utmost integrity who's conscious of the fact that we are accountable to all the citizens and taxpayers of Illinois, to all our students, to all our faculty and staff, to all our alumni, to all our supporters.
The board expects to announce its selection by the end of the year.
Illinois will be part of Big Ten Media Days. The Big Ten football season is upon us very soon. Basketball schedules are coming out. Illinois taking on Mizzou in the bragging rights game. Missouri's full schedule is out, as a matter of fact, as the Tigers will embark on a season that they believe could be one of their best, at least one of their best rosters. That's for sure. Missouri will be playing a number of games on the weekend against SEC opponents. That seems to be very enticing for their fans, as well as the bragging rights game. They have Kansas in the non-conference. They have Indiana in the non-conference. Let's take a look at it. They're going to be playing at Indiana on December 18th, and then Illinois 2 days later here in St. Louis on the 20th. The SEC season opens on January 2nd at Arkansas. Then they'll host Texas A&M and Kentucky back-to-back. That Kentucky game is always one to circle on the calendar. It'll be January 9th, one of those Saturday games that I was talking about, as well as a game the following Saturday against South Carolina. So they'll be off and running in the month of January, the University of Missouri basketball program. How about SLU's basketball program? Did you see who they landed yesterday? Jimmy McKinney III, the standout guard for Vashon. He's averaging 17.5 per game coming out of last season, going into his senior season. The 6'2 guard has picked SLU over a number of candidates, and the head coach at Vashon is his dad, Jimmy McKinney, the former Mizzou standout. Jimmy McKinney III, another pickup for Josh Schertz, who already grabbed Sheik Pearson, transferring from Marquette. Jamison White, the former signee with Penn State. McKinney was also being recruited by Mizzou, K-State, Iowa, Iowa State, Northwestern, among others. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Cardinals, they are getting ready for the trade deadline to see who they can acquire. First, let's hear about how they did last night at Busch Stadium. As for that trade deadline, President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom not only evaluating who the Cardinals would like to acquire, but which of their players are garnering interest. Trade deadline is Monday, August 3rd. I'm Tom Ackerman, Cut of the Game, sponsored by The Diamond Shop, thediamondshop.net.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Tricia Burns never answers the call. Tricia Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Tricia Burns, not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Tricia Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Tricia Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Tricia Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
Here in St. Louis, word of mouth still matters, and I'm pretty careful about who I recommend. Lederman Law Firm is who I recommend. My family's been working with them for over 20 years now. When it comes to something as personal as estate planning, they get my recommendation. I'm getting text messages from a few friends and listeners saying, tell me more about Lederman Law Firm. I'm interested in what they do. Well, the reason we lean on them is simple. They don't just create documents and send you on your way. They help make sure that your estate plan works. Life changes, folks. Family needs and circumstances change. Laws change. Most estate plans don't change over time. They get outdated. And at Lederman Law Firm, it is not that. It's an ongoing process. They protect your family and your assets. That's why we are clients, and that's why I'm comfortable recommending the Lederman Law Firm here in St. Louis, 314-514-9100. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision. It should not be based solely on advertisements.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
7:20 in time to get you updated on your ride-in and the weather as well. We have another hot day ahead of us, but just one more. Details on the way. Right now, details on your ride-in from Roger Brandon, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Busy on the south side right now, Debbie. If you're on northbound Highway 55, the right lanes are starting to bog down as you get past Butler Hill, ramping on to North 270. Once you get onto North 270, you're okay till you get a little north of Big Bend there. Most of the way up to Manchester, slow, and there's a little slowdown right around the Clayton Road overpass. 30, you've got delays from West Watson up the hill to 270. Not a solid jam, but it's slow. There's a little bit of a backup on northbound Tesson Ferry approaching Kennerly. It looks good out west. Eastbound 70, just a little slow at the Wright City Rest area. Southbound 61's clear. Eastbound 70 between TR Hughes and 79, there's just a little bit of a slowdown. Looks like we have an incident. I can't tell if it's a crash or a stall. Eastbound 70 just before Hanley, you're jammed at 170 up to that one. Westbound 64 west of Hampton out through Clayton Skinker's a little slow. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 west of 25th Street to the 70 split, and then west of 3rd Street to the Poplars busy, and delays both directions, primarily eastbound, though, 5570 from 203 to a point east of 111. Next update is 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
After a disaster, emotional recovery takes time. Show Me Hope Missouri offers free, confidential support wherever you are. Call or text 1-800-985-5990 and connect with a local crisis counselor today. From Missouri Department of Mental Health.
Joe Lundberg says heat advisory till 7 p.m. Extreme heat warning for areas south and east of Metro St. Louis. Hot and humid, high 92. AccuWeather real field temperatures up to 105 today. Partly cloudy, low 71 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny, pleasant, less humid, high of 88. It's 80 right now.
The news continues at 7:22. We all know it's hot and humid in Missouri, and now it's corn sweat time.
Oh.
As the state's corn crop releases moisture into the air, some wonder how much it contributes to the uncomfortable conditions. State climatologist Justin Glisson says the effect of corn sweat is real, but only plays a small role.
It can add 2-3 degrees to the dew point, but when your temperatures are in the 90s and your dew points are already up in the 70s, it's not really going to matter.
Plant scientists say the added moisture can benefit crops during dry periods.
Ameren, Missouri wants to build a large natural gas plant in St. Charles County along the Mississippi River. The utility is asking for permission from Missouri's Public Service Commission to finance the project by having customers pay for the facility while it is being built. This is called construction work in progress.
A 381-unit apartment complex in Wentzville sold for $70 million this month. The Villages at Lake Silvercoat at 100 Dry Brook Road spans 37 acres and contains 33 garden-style apartments. The complex was almost 95% occupied when sold, according to the Business Journal.
The Lewis Road Bridge is still closed following a train derailment on the Union Pacific tracks there. The Sunday derailment affected 26 cars on the 135-car train.
It's now 7:27, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Siding and windows, Banner Construction can absolutely help you with those, and they'll give you the very best that there is. James Hardy Siding, Pella Windows. For the last 33 years, Banner Construction has prided itself on quality craftsmanship with creative work on exterior home restoration. Who do you hire? That is the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering a restoration project. We all want the lowest price. I mean, who wouldn't want it? But this is your home. This is your biggest life investment. Please be careful of the people who cut corners to win your business. Banner Construction is a preferred James Hardy and Pella Window specialist. That means they do the job beautifully. They do it right the first time. You will not have to do it again. They want you to fall in love with your home all over again. Banner Construction. Make the right choice. Banner Construction. Go online to bannerconstruction.com. Schedule a free in-home consultation. 314 569-1050. You want to give them a call and have a banner day.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
Last year, I had back pain radiating down my right leg. The pain was so bad I was willing to cut my leg off to stop the pain. I could barely walk and had to stoop over when I did just to take pressure off the spine. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. In my professional career, I've represented thousands of people who've had herniated discs and issues with their neck and back, but never fully appreciated what they were going through until it was my turn. It's like trying to describe colors to a blind person who's never had sight. All I can tell you is it hurt like hell, but worse. My daily walk was gone, and that bothered me a great deal. Then I thought of all of you and how much more devastating this type of injury could be for you. My life stopped. I now feel your pain. Just know at Morgan & Morgan, we got your back. I understand. Morgan means more.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
MyLowe's Pro Rewards members. Save big during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get your member volume discount plus an extra 5% off eligible orders with a quote of $2,000 or more. And buy more and save more with up to 20% off in-stock molding when you spend $250 or more. Members get more at Lowe's. Valid through 7/31. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Can't be combined with any contract or special pricing. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit the Pro Desk or Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
It is 7:30, and right now we do have some sunshine, some high clouds. It's 80 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, those right lanes are still kind of slow on northbound 55, folks. North of Butler Hill as you ramp on to North 270. Once you hit North 270 itself, the slowest stretch is going to be from 44 up the hill to Manchester, eastbound 30, approaching Mauer up to 270, pretty congested there. Out to the west, we're looking okay on southbound 61. If you're on eastbound Highway 70 from Warrenton into about the Wright City Rest area, kind of slow in that work zone. A little busy at T.R. Hughes briefly. We had that incident eastbound 70 between 170 and Hanley. Still a little bit of a backup there. In fact, it's starting to impact south 170, south of Scudder. Those ramp lanes to get on eastbound 70 are backing up as well. Eastbound 64 to slow 170 into Big Bend. Illinois traffic, eastbound 5570, 203 past 111. A couple of slow spots. Westbound 64 west of 111 up to the 70 split, and then 3rd Street to the Poplar is heavy after that. Next update at 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right, that heat advisory has been extended to 7 tonight. So just be aware if you're out and about. Not as hot as yesterday, but still 92 degrees. It's going to feel as hot as 105. Sun mixing with clouds, and it'll be humid. Tomorrow, less humid, mostly sunny, and 88. Currently, it's 80 in downtown St. Louis.
More FEMA funding coming to St. Louis. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer and other city officials are expected to explain how much funding the city will get and where it will go this morning at 9 at City Hall.
A Jefferson County man charged in the shooting of 2 men left a Facebook manifesto described by the sheriff as a doozy. Christopher Serrano's 3,700-word post uploaded 2 days before the attack on a father and son claimed that the two were in a motorcycle gang, were selling drugs, and claims their dogs injured his. The post also rambled on about data centers, the CIA, Mossad, and urged elected officials to resign.
24-year-old Sammy Gordon was found dead Friday night outside a home on Lakeshore Drive in Cedar Hill. His 51-year-old father was shot but survived. According to the Post-Dispatch, Serrano was captured after a foot chase near his mother's home and has no arrest history.
A wave of closures hitting the St. Louis area.
Salt and Smoke, the local barbecue chain, is closing Hampton and Ellisville on August 1st, trimming down from 8 locations to 6. Crushed Red, the chopped salad concept, is closing Manchester Road in West County and St. Charles, keeping Clayton, Creve Coeur, Kirkwood, and Chesterfield open. Dave Bailey is shutting Bailey's Range in Shaw and the legendary Bailey's Chocolate Bar in Lafayette Square to focus entirely on his 2 Rooster breakfast restaurants, which he says served 800 customers just last Sunday. And Ruler Foods on South Grand closes July 31st. Residents say it's the only walkable grocery in the area, and neighbors are asking what city leaders plan to do about the gap it and the nearby Family Dollar leave behind. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Employees with St. Louis Public Schools will be allowed back in the central office starting next Monday. It comes after Legionella bacteria was found in parts of the building's water and cooling systems in late May. Tonight's Board of Education will return to the central office at 6:30.
It is time to take a break here, and we'll be back when we bring you the Money Minute from Bloomberg. And the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com at 7:34.
Congress doesn't need more politicians. For nearly 30 years, Joan Von Dross dedicated her life to helping students learn, grow, and succeed. Now she's running for Congress to fight for lower healthcare costs, stronger public schools, and a more affordable future for Missouri families. Teachers solve problems. Politicians play politics.
I'm Joan Von Dross, Democrat from Missouri CD2, and I approve this message. Vote for me on August 4th.
Paid for by Von Dross for Congress.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, rock star. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, it's Brew, and I feel like everything in my life depends on being connected. Whether I'm uploading a video, hopping on a call before my show, or video chatting with my family back in Michigan, I never have to think about my Wi-Fi. And that's why Xfinity stands out. You get the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi with the best equipment at one price for 5 years guaranteed. No contracts or commitments. Plus, you can get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Use of fiber or coaxial cable. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity, imagine that.
Time for your Money Minute at 7:36, and it's sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is the Let's Revitalize Our Neighborhoods commitment. This is the Roll Up Our Sleeves and Pitch In commitment. This is Busey, where our commitment to strengthen our communities is a top priority. Through energetic, engaged volunteers, through monetary support, community leadership, and advocacy. Because Busey is more than a bank that does well, we're a bank that does good. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth, since 1868. Member FDIC.
Not full of dust, allergens, and whatever winter left behind in your vents. Your air ducts are the lungs of your home, and if they're dirty, you're breathing it in every single day. This month only, get your air ducts clean starting at just $599 per unit. That's cleaner air, better efficiency, and a fresher home guaranteed. Call 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Ask for the DGS special, ZeroResSTL.com.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019?
Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
This is the Gas House Gang from KMOX.
Bernie Nicholas and the Gas House Gang, today at noon on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
We have Ollie Marmol today, Cardinals manager, with us at noon. Tough one for his team late last night. We'll get into it in 5 minutes. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, busy, but not a bad morning for most folks, Tom. This traffic reports the service of S&L Coins. If you're on northbound 270, a little slow as you ramp on from 55, then approaching 44 up to Manchester, just kind of slow along that whole run. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, we have this slow traffic east of 47 into about the Wright City Rest area, then it sorts itself out. We still have this incident. It was in the left lane, I think. It's hard for me to tell right now. It's behind a sign, but eastbound 70 between 170 and Hanley, so eastbound 70 is short jam there, and south 170 south of Scudder, those ramp lanes to get onto eastbound 70 are bumper to bumper as well. If you're taking eastbound 64 into work, Clarkson to Timberlake, heavy, McKnight through Hanley, slow, south 170, bogs down at Ladue, westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley. There's heavy traffic there on the Illinois side. Westbound 64 from 111 all the way to the Poplar Street Bridge is heavy. Eastbound 5570, 203 past 111 slow, and westbound coming off 255 headed to 111. There's a couple of briefer slowdowns on your side. Next update is 750 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
S&L Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plate. Before you sell, call S&L. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. S&L Coin.
It is 7:41 and time for us to check in with Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist. It looks sunny and breezy outside right now.
Yeah, there's a nice little breeze there, Debbie, and I would call it hazy sunshine. There's some high-level smoke, believe it or not, out there. This is from those wildfires in the Pacific Northwest, and it may be something we're going to have to deal with on occasion for the days going forward. Other than that, it's still going to be hot and humid today with a high of 92, just not as brutal as it was yesterday, though still real feels up to 105. Then overnight tonight, we're expecting it to clear out more effectively and dry out as well. And by morning, we're down to 71. That's a big 10-degree drop from where it is this morning. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Again, it may be a bit on the hazy side, but with a much lower humidity, it'll just feel much nicer. The high 88. Sun and some clouds for Thursday. We'll get to 89. Not that warm on Friday. There'll be some more clouds around and maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high about 83 or so. With clouds Saturday, expect some showers and a thunderstorm. We probably stay in the 70s to start the weekend. 81 already at St. Peter's and in Florissant. Partly sunny and hazy, 85 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. It's 7:42. We'll have sports coming up in 3 minutes on Total Information AM. In the news this morning, in the war with Iran, President Trump decided to hold off on further military escalation to pursue his path of diplomacy. That came after Trump had a meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance and top military advisors. In that meeting, sources tell ABC News that multiple people raised concerns about an escalation, which included concern about the impact it would have on the stockpile of munitions. Here's ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott at the White House.
President Trump this past weekend traveled to Michigan to talk about the economy and about a new bridge linking Canada and the U.S., which is opening. But the Trump administration had threatened to block that bridge opening for months as part of a longstanding trade dispute, and last week added new taxes to many Canadian products. We get more from ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
Told a crowd of supporters in Michigan that things are looking good when you think about prices, when you think about jobs. He defended his tariffs, his overall policies of trying to boost manufacturing. But that isn't always what the data is showing, and it's not always what people are saying about the economy right now. We know that prices have been going up. Inflation has been going in the wrong direction, largely because of the spike in oil prices from the Iran war.
The House has already left for summer recess, but the Senate is still in Washington for another couple weeks and are expected to take up votes for some of President Trump's nominations for Attorney General and Director of National Intelligence. Not on the agenda, though, is the so-called SAVE Act, the controversial bill that would require proof of citizenship to vote. But there's no support for it in the Senate. On the way to Michigan yesterday, President Trump argued for getting rid of the filibuster, something that would require a simple majority for the SAVE Act that Senate Majority Leader John Thune is against. Ins and Outs sponsored by Innsbrook Resort, where every day is the weekend. Cardinals waited until 8:30 to get that game going last night at Busch Stadium. Cubs fans hanging around had a good time. They jumped on Matthew Liberatore early. They got Hunter Dobbins late. And in all, they piled up enough runs to overtake the Cardinals in Game 1 of this 4-game series, Matt Pauley. Cards and Cubs tonight at Busch Stadium at 6:45. Before that, Ollie Marmol joins us on the Gas House Gang beginning at noon with Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji, and me. 6 days from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It'll be at 5 o'clock Central on August 3rd, Monday, and it's the first one for Cardinals President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom. Trade deadline on Monday. Of course, you know where to go for coverage right here on KMOX, as has been the case for many decades. We're also the home of the Billikens. They landed a big one last night. Jimmy McKinney III, the standout guard from Vashon. His father, Jimmy McKinney, used to play at Mizzou. He's the head coach of the Vashon Wolverines, who are going for another state title this year. The 6'2" upcoming senior guard tweeted last night, "Home isn't just where I'm from, it's who I'm playing for. Proud to stay home and represent the city that made me. Go Billikens." Vashon is 5 minutes from the SLU campus. You know what's about an hour from where I'm sitting right here? That would be Innsbruck. Innsbruck-resort.com. Innsbruck-resort.com. Innsbruck's phenomenal. And we say every day is the weekend there because it does feel, as soon as you go through the security gates there, it does feel like the weekend. It feels like you're on vacation. You can play, enjoy, relax, whatever you want to do. They have fishing, hiking, golf, activities for the kids, and it's a year-round experience, too. It's not just a summer location. We've gone there right around Christmas time. We've been there during, it's beautiful in the fall. Great, by the way, if you want to catch a Mizzou game, it's a nice little spot between St. Louis and Columbia to have a home base during a football weekend. Innsbruck's great. Innsbruck has 7,500 acres and over 100 lakes. It's amazing. Innsbruck-resort.com.
America is turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Missouri $250. For everyone in Missouri, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right in your account. This is available for everyone in Missouri, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older and in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, let's do that parlay of the day, sponsored by Circa Sports, sports betting the way it should be. Let's look at the NFL. You know, college football has its media days, and the Big Ten is today. But I'm very curious about the NFL. Let's see who the favorites are for rookie. Fernando Mendoza, my guy, is the favorite for Rookie of the Year. That's interesting because he's actually not the starter to begin the year for the Raiders. That would be Kirk Cousins. St. Louis and Jeremiah Love of the Arizona Cardinals at plus 350 right behind him. Those are the two favorites. I think those are pretty good picks, actually. My guy Omar Cooper Jr., watch him with the Jets at plus 4,500. Excellent wide receiver. As for the MVP, Joe Burrow at plus 800 would be interesting. I might go a little lower and see the Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes. If he's healthy and he has a phenomenal second half of the season, which I think he could, he's at plus 1,500. That might be a good play for you. Patrick Mahomes, parlay of the day, sponsored by Circa Sports, sports betting the way it should be.
Going a swing. Ready to elevate your game? Join the NBA Sportscasters Forum on Tuesday, September 15th in St. Louis. Learn from Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and Hall of Famer John Rooney as they break down play-by-play, reporting, interviewing, and covering the game. Then cap off the day with the Cardinals versus Giants at Busch Stadium. Step into the booth. Sharpen your skills. Go to KMOX.com/events for details and registration. Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
7:52 and time for Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, folks traveling up North 270, there's a little slowdown as you ramp on from 55 Sappington through Gravois, and then it's bogged down 44 all the way up to about the Clayton Road overpass, and again past 64. Southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway ramping on to eastbound 70 is kind of busy. Eastbound 70 itself still has a backup right through 170. We had an incident in the left lane between there and Hanley. South 170 is on the brakes now at about Airport Road. At least those exit lanes are through there. Eastbound 64, Annie Guns to about Timberlake's heavy. East of Lindbergh into Big Bend is slow. South 170 delays approaching Ladue. Westbound 64, Hampton out to Big Bend You've got heavy traffic, and then on the Illinois side, westbound 64, 111 to the Poplar slow, and eastbound 5570, 203 past 111, heavy traffic as well. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Heat advisory until 7 p.m., especially south and east of Metro St. Louis. It's an extreme heat warning with real feels up to 105, 92 degrees for the high today, 88 for the high tomorrow. Right now, it's 80 downtown.
The news continues at 7:53. At least 4 tornadoes reported in the Midwest. ABC's Alex Perez is in hard-hit Menasha, Wisconsin.
The city of Menasha, Wisconsin, taking a direct hit, prompting the mayor to declare a local state of disaster.
I headed down to the basement, and when I come up, it's like a war zone here.
The view from above shows roofs ripped from homes and businesses destroyed.
In the case of the killings of 4 Idaho college students, Brian Koberger, after pleading guilty to the murders, is now proclaiming his innocence. The self-confessed killer seeking to withdraw his guilty plea, claiming he was coerced into the admission. Here's ABC's Hannah Battah.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department in Arizona says the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance nearly 6 months ago remains active and ongoing, though without a significant development. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky on a new message from Savannah Guthrie.
In a new Instagram post, the Today host says she is begging her mother's captor to do the right thing now.
Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I truly believe it is never too late to do the right thing. Help us bring this situation to an end. For all of us.
Investigators are still trying to trace the items worn by the masked man on Nancy Guthrie's doorstep. The mask, gloves, backpack, and holster. And they're testing a hair and mixed DNA sample found in her home.
Chiefs head coach Andy Reid says the team's thoughts and prayers are with offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, whose wife was allegedly shot by the couple's son. ABC's Rena Roy reports police say the shooting happened at Bieniemy's home in Virginia Sunday night. Bieniemy's wife is described as being in stable condition last night.
Buc-ee's, the Texas-based gas station supermarket chain, employs about 3,800 people across its 56 locations. ABC's Jim Ryan says it also has an office filled with attorneys standing by to sue other companies.
Many of Buc-ee's lawsuits claim trademark infringement by companies that have mascots similar to its ball cap-wearing beaver character. Now, late-night comedy show Last Week Tonight has designed a logo with a familiar-looking squirrel. Host John Oliver.
I'm so happy to announce that you can now buy this image on a variety of products from tumblers to hats.
With proceeds going to a nonprofit that fights hunger. Buc-ee's general counsel tells the Dallas Morning News that the company has no plans to sue yet. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports. And she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it. by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers, believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills.
Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. The $5,000 sweepstakes is back with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com. Since 1926, celebrating 100 years. The genuine, the original Overhead Door. That's where winners go.
It is 7:59. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got slow traffic going north on 270, Sappington through Gravois, and then 44 up to Manchester, so it's busy the majority of that run through. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, we've got delays from 47 in Warrenton through the Wright City Rest area. That's a couple of miles of traffic slow through that area. Coming in from Annie Guns to about Timberlake on 64, you're heavy. It backs up McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64, Hampton headed out to Big Bend. There's slow traffic there. Eastbound 70 at the Interbelt, still a short backup midway into Hanley, where we had an earlier incident that was in the left lane. And South 170 still has delays near Airport Road because of it. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 is bogged down west of 111 to the Poplar, and eastbound 5570 east of 203 to past 111. You have roadwork delays. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Two different wars, both on the agenda at the White House this morning. First, President Trump meets with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Then, 5 months to the day since the president launched the war with Iran, President Trump meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Washington also says goodbye today to a longtime senator.
Today, the late Senator Lindsey Graham, who pushed for war against Iran, returns to the Capitol one last time, where he'll be recognized with a special ceremony in the Rotunda, followed by a funeral at the National Cathedral. President Trump will be among the speakers.
ABC's Karen Hua in D.C. Hundreds of thousands of people already evacuated in France and Spain as wildfires burn, and now another 4,000 evacuations have been ordered in tourist areas along France's Atlantic coast. Some serious damage in parts of Wisconsin and Illinois after tornadoes touched down. Over 350,000 power outages across 4 states. This is ABC News. Hundreds of thousands of Haitians losing their temporary legal status to remain in the country this week. That is, the Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration on ending it recently. Even Republicans like Ohio Governor Mike DeWine say they're dismayed because of cities like Springfield, home to many who have fled violence and poverty in their home country of Haiti.
We've seen Springfield really come back in the last few years. One of the reasons they've come back is because of the Haitians who came there to work. They filled jobs that were not being filled. They've opened businesses, they've bought homes and rehabbed them. They've been a real force for good in the community.
LeBron James is joining the Philadelphia 76ers. You've probably heard that. However, ESPN is reporting he will reside in New York City and keep his apartment there during the NBA season. They say he'll commute daily from the city to Philadelphia, potentially by helicopter. The drive from New York to Philly is usually about 2 hours, depending on traffic. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
At 8:02, we have cloudy skies, 84 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Tuesday, July 28th. I'm Megan Lynch. After 83 days of striking, Teamsters and Breakthrough Beverage have finally come to an agreement. Teamsters Local 688 says the entities have signed a new 4-year collective bargaining agreement after 56 employees held the strike for more than 80 days. It includes a 4% wage increase over the next 4 years, the addition of Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a paid holiday, new ways for part-time employees to become full-time, and more. Employees with St. Louis Public Schools will be allowed back in the central office starting next Monday. It comes after Legionella bacteria was found in parts of the building's water and cooling systems in late May. Tonight, the Board of Education will return to the central office at 6:30. 6 locations across 4 businesses closing in St. Louis in the next week. Four people have now been charged in the weekend shooting in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. It was investigated by the major case squad of Greater St. Louis. The incident happened Sunday around 3:10 a.m. when local police found 34-year-old Ciante Matthews with multiple gunshot wounds. He died shortly after arriving at an area hospital. 22-year-old Devondrea Williams of East St. Louis charged with first-degree murder, unlawful use of a machine gun, and being a felon in possession of a weapon. 3 other suspects charged with obstruction of justice. 2 victims from Sunday's House Springs double shooting have now died. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office confirmed the death of 38-year-old Jessica Lashley and her 17-year-old daughter, Jersey. The 2 women were left in critical condition Saturday night after a neighbor entered their home on Detzel Drive, shooting them in the head. The suspect, 73-year-old Robert Winkleman, also shot himself. He remains in critical condition. More FEMA funding coming to St. Louis. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer and other city officials expected to explain how much funding the city will get and where it will go. That's today at 9 a.m. at City Hall. St. Louis County voters will see a proposition next Tuesday on the ballot that could add a 3.5% tax on out-of-state goods purchased online. Most of the city municipalities already have a use tax, but this would fold in unincorporated St. Louis County areas that do not. The tax dollars would be split between municipalities for things such as road work, which Kate Thompson, Advocacy Committee Chair for the St. Louis Realtors, is for it. There are no organized opposition groups, but voters in the county rejected a similar use tax in 2022. So far, there have been no widespread power outages in our immediate area due to the severe heat. Our Maria Kina spoke with Ameren, Missouri's Vice President of Operations, Ryan Arnold, about power usage. It's now 8:06. Measles cases in the United States this year at a 35-year high. KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottomer reports. The American Red Cross has declared a national blood crisis for only the second time in the organization's history. The Red Cross says donations have fallen to a 4-year summer low. All blood types are needed, but the situation is especially dire for type O blood. The supply of type O positive blood has now dropped below a one-day supply. We're going to get more on that coming up this morning at 8:24 here on KMOX. A check of the roads and the forecast coming up in just 2 minutes here on KMOX. It's 8:08.
Registered lobbyist Mike Deering is not the kind of guy you want in the state Senate.
Did you say he was a registered lobbyist?
Sure did. When conservatives like Tricia Burns tried to pass a bill to take back the 300,000 acres in Missouri allowed to be controlled by China, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against it. When conservatives like Tricia Burns fought alongside Missouri cattlemen to require foreign beef to be labeled, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against that too. While conservatives like Tricia Burns are fighting to protect your farmland from being paved over by data centers, lobbyist Mike Deering described Google's Montgomery County hyperscale data center as a
very positive thing.
Deering also endorsed liberal Democrat Chris Koster for governor and openly mocked President Trump. Registered lobbyist Mike Deering, anti-Trump, pro-Democrat, bought out by foreign ag interest, and in love with data centers. Take down data center Deering on August 4th. Vote America First conservative warrior Tricia Burns for state senate.
Paid for by Mo Constitutional Conservative Council PAC, Scott Lady Treasurer.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-720-8444. 314-720-8444. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-720-8444.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
8:10. Let's see how things are moving on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, making out west, we have a jam on eastbound Highway 70. It looks like there's a crash now in the construction zone. I've been talking about delays Warrenton into the Wright City Rest area. This is about midway between those 2 points, so it looks pretty solid. So there's a lane block there on eastbound 70, unfortunately. And then it still looks to me like the left lane is at least partially blocked. Eastbound 70, I've been talking about this one as well. There's a minor crash between 170 and Hanley, so traffic backs up through the inner belt, and the inner belt is slow, but south of Scudder trying to get onto eastbound 70 currently because of it. Eastbound 64 is still a little heavy passing Clarkson. There's slow traffic McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley's heavy. South 170 bogs down at the Parkway. North 270 approaching 44 to Manchester, the slow part there. And on the Illinois side, we still have delays. Westbound 64 approaching 25th Street now, so it's not 111, but approaching 25th Street, heavy all the way across the Poplar. Eastbound 5570 east of 203, most of the way to Black Lane is slow, and 44 downtown between the bridges is kind of busy both ways. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking the current temperatures right now, we have 82 degrees in St. Peters, 82 in Florissant, 83 degrees downtown at the Arch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM here on 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Earlier this morning, teams of college students drove away from the Southern Illinois University Edwardsville campus in custom-built solar cars. It's the second time that SIUE has been a host site for the Electrek American Solar Challenge. SIUE has its own team on the course driving a solar car they designed and built called Orion. They need to travel 1,500 miles along the Great River Road and Route 66 from Minneapolis to Texas in just 8 days. And before they put the pedal to the metal, I did have a chance to talk with one of the Edwardsville drivers, Aaron Robertson, a junior studying mechanical engineering. That is Aaron Robertson, one of the drivers of the Southern Illinois University Edwardsville solar car called Orion. The team is heading into Missouri today. It's competing in the Electrek American Solar Challenge alongside nearly 24 other schools, including Purdue, MIT, Iowa State, and the U of I. So we wish our local team the best on their route today. It's now 8:20. We've had some problems out there on the roads, especially that issue in the construction zone in eastbound 70 near Warrenton. Let's get the latest from Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of a jam up there, unfortunately, Megan. This traffic reports the service of Steve Butts and the entire Crawford Butts family. Has jammed about midway in from the West Warrenton Boulevard roundabout to Warrenton. The incident was just east of there. It looks like they may have it out of the way, but it's still backed up. The jam doesn't look as bad as it did 10 minutes ago, but we'll keep tabs on it for you. It looks to me like the left lane's still blocked with this earlier crash eastbound 70 between 170 and Hanley. Traffic still backs up approaching 170 on eastbound 70. Eastbound 64 heavy through the Chesterfield Parkways, then east of Lindbergh to Big Bend. South 170 bogs down south of the Parkway. Westbound 64 Clayton Skinker to Hanley slow. North 270 north of Big Bend up to Manchester busy. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 25th Street to Poplar, a lot of congestion. And eastbound 5570 east of 203 to a point east of 111 is still slow due to road work. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, Steve Butts and everyone at Crawford Butts Insurance wish everyone a safe and joyful summer. Proudly serving the community for generations. Happy 250th, America. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And checking that forecast for today, we are still under a heat advisory until 7 o'clock. That extreme heat warning, especially for areas south and east of the St. Louis metro. Sun mixing with clouds today, hot and humid, a high of 92. With AccuWeather, real field temperatures up to 105 degrees. For tonight, partly cloudy with an overnight low of 71. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, pleasant, less humid with a high of 88. Right now, we have partly cloudy skies, 83 degrees downtown at the Arch.
There's a saying, it takes a group of good men to build a barn and only one to tear it down. Well, a few Jeff City politicians are at it again, tearing things down with Amendment 5 and Amendment 4. No on 5 and 4. 5 takes our money with higher sales taxes, higher taxes on gas, guns, and groceries, a sales tax hike on rent and diesel, seed and feed. 4 takes away our constitutional right to vote and go around the establishment politicians and to stop higher taxes. Takes away our safety valve, a vote of the people to stop or reverse a dumb idea like the everything tax. I'm a no. A heck no. No. No on Amendment 5. No on Amendment 4. No on both 4 and 5. Paid for by no on the everything tax.
Birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. But your business runs all year, so do the gaps and the risk. So go to supersure.com. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just go buy a policy online. Supersure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At supersure.com, you can access tools like fine print facts. It'll translate your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to supersure.com. One super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Supersure.com. That's supersure.com. Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
KMOX News Time is 8:26. We're waiting on a call from the American Red Cross. They have declared a blood emergency. I'm going to give you just a few details of it this morning while we are waiting on their call. Let me pull that up for you here. They've declared a national blood crisis. It's really only the second time in the organization's history that this has happened. The Red Cross says donations have fallen to a 4-year summer low. All blood types are needed, but the situation is especially dire for type O blood. The supply of type O positive blood has now dropped below a 1-day supply, and we'll get the latest for you on that. We're going to check in with some other things coming up here on Total Information AM.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Last year, we had 295 trials where we've been offered a total of $90 million on all those cases. When the dust settled, we had recovered over $1.1 billion in verdicts and mid-trial settlements. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won a lot, $30 billion and counting. The best part of all those wins is that it helps you when you hire us. All those wins allow us to let the insurance company know we mean business. And believe me, they know who we are. If you've been injured, Google Morgan & Morgan results. You're not bragging if it's a fact. 3 million people tried to hire us last year alone. That happened for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com and let's get started this minute. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old-timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your politician's Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, allowing politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people. And the politician's Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside 4 and 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, effectively ending our power to stop corrupt and out-of-control politicians.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the politicians' Amendments 4 and 5, paid for by Missourians for Fair Government.
Chris Ronchi and Amy Marks-Kors connect you with the people, places, and conversations that bring our community together.
And now you get to hear about poo-poo in a box from a firefighter.
No, come on.
The hammerhead worm. And you get to hear about car fires.
And sinkholes.
And sinkholes. I love our newsroom. I think they're doing a great job.
From neighborhood happenings to local heroes, from everyday challenges to unforgettable stories. Chris and Amy, weekdays from 9 to noon on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Let's get more on the roads now at 8:30. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we still have a couple of jams on eastbound 70, but they are getting better. This traffic reports the service of S&L Coins. That one out west, eastbound 70, that crash that was east of 47, east of Warrenton's been cleared. You're still jammed from the West Warrenton Boulevard, the Warrenton roundabout there, into 47, but then it's starting to open up, and there's still a short jam. That left lane still blocked, or at least partially blocked. Eastbound 70 between 170 and Hanley, it's backed up at 170 right now. Eastbound 64, Chesterfield Parkway west to about Timberlake is slow. East of Lindbergh into Big Bend's heavy. South 170 bogs down at the Parkway. Westbound 64 Hampton to Hanley is busy. Northbound 270 from Doherty around north of Big Bend to Manchester slow. Northbound 55, the right lanes are busy north of Butler Hill, ramping onto North 270. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 is off the pace west of 25th Street to the Poplar, and eastbound 5570 east of 203 to a point east of 111 is slow. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
S&L Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call S&L. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. S&L Coin.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, we are under a heat advisory until 7 o'clock tonight. We're expecting a high of 92. AccuWeather real field temperatures up to 105. Partly cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 71. Right now we have sunshine, 83 degrees downtown at the Arch. You're back with Total Information AM here on KMOX. A survey released this morning reveals that 1 in 5 parents or guardians need their children to help cover back-to-school costs. Joining me on the Quiver River Electric Guest Line, Adriana Ocañas, Consumer Credit Cards Analyst at U.S. News and World Report. Adriana, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
What did you find out about the financial situation of so many families as they look at this year's back-to-school spending?
So like you mentioned, we did find that one of our biggest statistics that we found is about 1 in 5 parents expect their children to cover costs to help this year. But that actually changes a little bit depending on the angle that you look at it, because we also found that 48% of parents and guardians plan to reduce spending. And so when we ask those parents, do you expect your children to help out, that number bumps up a little bit to more 3 in 10 versus 1 in 5. So parents are really feeling it this year with their budgets.
What expenses do they say are taking money away from what they would typically have to spend on back-to-school items?
So you might think it's the school supplies themselves, but it's actually the cost of everything else. 80% of families said it was the prices of things like gas and groceries and other everyday necessities that's kind of siphoning away that money that they had saved for their back-to-school budgets. And unfortunately, that's not very surprising when you realize that 56% of Americans are actually using their credit cards to cover everyday necessities like gas and groceries.
How much more do parents expect to spend on the basics compared to last year again?
This year compared to last year, it's about the same relevantly year over year. It's more so parents are reducing their spending on specific categories, like 47% are spending less on clothing and shoes, 45% are spending less on accessories, and 44% are spending less on electronics and technology. So it's kind of down the categories with the parents are spending less and less.
Talk about that stat that I first mentioned. 1 in 5 parents or guardians say that they need their children to help cover some of the back-to-school costs. That kind of blew my mind.
Right. And so we were actually very surprised, too. And I was able to kind of see a little bit of a difference as well between the income that parents and guardians have. It depends on how much the household income is. For example, more children of those coming from a household income of over $150,000 are expected to contribute financially compared to children of those with a household income of under $50,000. So I believe a lot of it has to do with survival mode versus, building that generational wealth.
Anything else that stood out to you about what parents said?
A lot of outside factors are contributing to the way parents are budgeting this year. We did see a jump in things like job loss. Almost a third of parents and guardians have lost their job within the past 3 to 6 months, and that's actually 4% higher than last year. So it's a lot of outside factors that are really affecting parents' financial wellness this year.
Adriana, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me.
That is Adriana Ocañas, consumer credit cards analyst at U.S. News & World Report. Your money report coming up from Bloomberg next.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Your Money Report now. It's sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports, Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri, and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. 4 people have been charged in the deadly weekend shooting in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Johnson & Johnson has agreed to pay $5.5 billion to tie up remaining lawsuits that claim its talc products caused ovarian cancer. And Cracker Barrel CEO stepping down nearly a year after an attempted rebrand of the chain led to fierce consumer backlash. Let's get another update on the roads from Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
We'll do better on Highway 70 now, Megan. This traffic reports the service of Scott Credit Union, eastbound 70, just a little slow through that Warrenton area. No longer a jam when we had the earlier crash. Westbound 70 around Wentzville Parkway looks a little busy. Eastbound 64 is still a brief slowdown at Clarkson. It's still pretty congested from Lindbergh all the way into Big Bend off the pace through there. South 170 still backs up at the Parkway. Westbound 64 Hampton out to Hanley. There's a couple of slow spots. The ramp from 55 on to North 270 still a little slow. Otherwise, just Doherty Ferry to Manchester, the busiest part of that run. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 heavy from the 70 split across the Poplar, and eastbound 5570 still has delays 203 to a point east of 111. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Love your low mortgage rate but need extra cash? Don't refinance. Get a Scott Credit Union home equity line of credit for home renovations or debt consolidation. Learn more at scu.org. Rates vary. Terms and conditions apply.
Checking that forecast for today, we are under a heat advisory until 7 o'clock tonight. An extreme heat warning, especially for areas south and east of the St. Louis metro. Sunshine mixing with clouds, hot, humid, a high of 92 with real feel temperatures up to 105 today. For tonight, it will be a little cooler overnight than it was last night. Expect a low around 71. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, less humid with a high of 88. Right now, we have sunshine 83 degrees in downtown St. Louis. Let's check in on the auto industry this morning here on Total Information AM. President Trump was in Michigan yesterday speaking at the General Motors Milford Proving Ground. The president contends his economic policies have revived the auto industry and American manufacturing. So let's get more on that visit and other news in the automotive world from Jeff Gilbert, auto reporter for WWJ Radio in Detroit. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Did the president's remarks resonate with the factory workers that he met there?
Well, you know, he actually didn't meet any factory workers. He went to the General Motors Proving Grounds, which is where they develop vehicles and test them out. So he met with some of the GM executives, and most of the people who were there at his speech were Trump supporters. The speech actually had more of a feel of a Trump rally than an industrial visit.
What were his comments about his impact specifically on the auto industry?
Yeah, and again, it was a long speech. It tended to be your typical Trump rally where he spoke for about an hour, hit a number of subjects. But he promoted tariffs, saying that his tariffs have brought manufacturing back to the U.S. In some cases, he has seen new investments from that. In other cases, there already was a lot of manufacturing in the U.S. He also talked about General Motors and how well General Motors has been doing lately. Took a lot of credit for it, but GM has actually been doing well for several years.
How have the Trump administration tariffs impacted the auto industry in the United States? Has it been kind of a mixed bag, Jeff?
It has. Well, the car makers have tried to find ways to get around the tariffs as much as possible. The Supreme Court decision gave them refunds of other tariffs, but it has cost them billions of dollars, so they have had to spend that. But on the other end of things, the Trump administration has saved the car makers billions of dollars by changing some of the fines for emissions violations and changing emissions rules, period. So at the end of the day, car makers probably are getting better profits because of the Trump administration. But as you said, it's a mixed bag. The money comes from one area and goes out in another.
So you mentioned GM. You know, it released latest earnings reports last week. Ford, Stellantis due this week. What do you feel like we're seeing in the industry right now as far as earnings and then projections for the next couple of quarters?
Yeah, you're seeing earnings fairly solid because sales remain solid. All of that worry about tariffs really increasing the price of vehicles hasn't happened. And, there is the affordability issue, but there's still a lot of people with pretty high incomes who want the latest vehicles, and they're buying a lot of pickup trucks and SUVs. So you see that, but there are concerns on the horizon. Car makers have had to spend a lot of money for electric vehicle programs that they've now had to scrap. So that's hurt the bottom line. And there have been a few one-off issues, like today we'll hear about how Ford has been impacted by a fire at an aluminum plant, which caused them to have to buy foreign supplies of aluminum, which they had to pay tariffs on.
So talk about, the picture for consumers. You mentioned there's still enough people out there with the money to buy cars. I heard yesterday a report that some people are now paying $1,000 for a car payment every month. So obviously there's still a market out there. What are the trends and what are consumers going to find over the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, a number of people, because of affordability, have been forced out and forced into the used car market. The new car market really is for people who do have the means to pay $30,000 and up for a vehicle, often well up over that amount, and they're willing to do it. In terms of trends, we're still seeing pickup trucks and SUVs as the most popular vehicles. And one trend that is a bit concerning is more and more people are taking out longer and longer loans, which is fine. If you take an 8-year loan and you're going to keep the vehicle 8 years, okay, you're going to pay a little more interest, but it's still okay. But if you take out an 8-year loan and want a new car in, say, 3 years, when you go into the dealership, you're probably going to owe more on the vehicle than it's worth. So a lot of people are finding that they are, as the saying goes in the industry, underwater on their loans when they try to trade in the vehicles.
Well, I have you. I know you're looking at a new study this week about Waymo and the crash rates compared to cars driven by humans. Can you give us a little bit of information about that before we let you go?
Yeah, it's very interesting because there are a lot of concerns about the safety of self-driving cars, and there have been some accidents involving the self-driving cars. But the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety took a look specifically at Waymo and found, for the most part, they have fewer crashes than vehicles that are driven by human beings. That's encouraging news. It's not the be-all, end-all, because Waymo isn't driving in every city all throughout the country like other people are, but it certainly does show that there is a degree of safety in these vehicles, and it may even back up, the industry, the self-driving vehicles industry contention that they're safer than human beings. So it's still early, but it's encouraging.
Now, Jeff, you and I have covered a lot of studies over the years. I can't imagine they have a whole lot of data to go off of yet, though, compared to all the years of data we have of humans driving vehicles.
Exactly. That's why I say it's early in the situation and it's very encouraging. But again, just imagine how many human beings are out there driving vehicles on a daily basis and how many new issues they come up with. These robo-taxis is what they're referred to in the industry. They're fairly new out there, but they've been around a couple of years, so we're just starting to learn about their safety. That's why I say it's encouraging, but not the be-all, end-all.
Jeff, always good to have you on. Thanks.
Thank you.
That is Jeff Gilbert, auto reporter for WWJ Radio in Detroit, joining us this morning here on KMOX. Coming up, we're going to talk about an eating trend. I don't know if I want to call it a diet trend, but an eating trend. It's called boy kibble. We'll learn more next.
Now, the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
The 3-2 pitch with the runner going a swing.
Ready to elevate your game? Join the MBA Sportscasters Forum on Tuesday, September 15th in St. Louis. Learn from Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and Hall of Famer John Rooney as they break down play-by-play, reporting, interviewing, and covering the game. Then cap off the day with the Cardinals versus Giants at Busch Stadium. Step into the booth. Sharpen your skills. Go to KMOX.com/events for details and registration. The trade deadline is fast approaching, and Cardinals news could break at any moment. Will they buy? Will they sell? Every move shapes the future. Stay with KMOX Sports for breaking news, trade rumors, and expert analysis. KMOX is where you hear from the people making it.
There are things that pop up within a couple hours of the deadline that didn't seem to be at all possible.
On air, on X, at KMOX Sports, the voice of your Cardinals. KMOX. Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
And coming up tomorrow on Total Information AM, we're going to be joined by KMOX legal analyst Brad Young, partner at Harris Young and Kaiser, for our weekly visit. He always looks at the top legal stories both locally and nationally to give us a breakdown and help us understand those. Also, Dr. Erica Rutledge, founder and psychologist with Wellness in Actions. Over the next few weeks, she is going to help us with some back-to-school topics like anxiety. What if your kid says on a daily basis they don't want to go to school? When do you take it seriously? And also getting back into school routines. So make sure you listen 8 a.m. tomorrow on Total Information AM.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Lynch.
If your social media is flooded with health matters,